You have seen Han Solo handle a blaster. You know what Indiana Jones can do with a whip. But wait until you see what John Book does with corn. Peter Weir's 1985 feature Witness is my pick for this week. Welcome, fellow cinephiles, to Debt to Cinema. I'm Stephen Montmanex.
And I'm Brian Gillis. Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching the latest releases. However, sadly, put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we miss, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts. $1 at a time.
They didn't know there was a witness.
Carter didn't tell me about the eyewitness.
Yeah, Amish kid, 8 years old.
A man of force.
I'm a police officer, ma'am. I have to talk to the boy.
A woman of faith.
You don't understand. We have nothing to do with your laws.
Yes, I do. Your son's a material witness to a homicide.
Worlds apart.
Now you have a witness.
Yeah, now I got a witness.
John, what's going on, man? What is happening?
You said we would be safe in Philadelphia.
Well, I was wrong.
He left with the Amish woman, right?
If they find me, they find the boy.
You bring this man to our house with his gun of the hand. You bring fear to this house.
Everyone has an idea about you and the Englishman.
They're looking for you.
I have done nothing against the rule of the Ordner.
Nothing? Maybe not yet.
We know where you are.
Harrison Ford and Kelly McGillis. Witness.
Yeah, back in high school, I had this book, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. I'm sure that you know what those are.
Yeah, I've
They do
heard of it.
new volumes every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went through one of those copies during high school, and I just went through almost, I want to say every movie at least after 1935. I went through most of those.
But you skipped this.
Well, I don't think this was on there, but the reason I bring this up, and I don't know if it's because I've just seen too many movies, or maybe just because and I'm not that surprised, and I might just be older and just overanalyzing movies now. But just I would see something like truly great over and over and over again, and there would just be like this feeling that I'd have. I don't know. I can't describe it. It's just like that great feeling that you have that just reminds you of like, I love cinema. This is why I love cinema. It's that's really the only way I can describe it. And I just rarely get that feeling now. Like I tend to nitpick things too much, like especially in the case of blockbusters, I enjoy them less now than I did. And it's probably because I'm just, probably just getting older or something like that. And I always worry that, when I think back, I may have peaked on my movie watching days. And so it's nice when every once in a while a movie just comes out that just completely surprises me and comes out of nowhere. And this was it, dude. I fucking loved this movie. I fucking loved it. Like, oh my god, dude. Like,
I didn't.
Really?
I didn't think it was bad, but
God.
there was a little too many holes in the plot for me. Don't get me wrong, everything on the farm with the Amish people was cool. Viggo Mortensen's like basic cameo was really nice. You caught that, right? Like, I knew that he was in this movie, but I forgot that it was his first film. And then so when I saw him, I was like, holy shit, Viggo. But yeah, apparently this is like a landmark in terms of screenplays. Like, this is what people are trying to write movies look at as in terms of like structure or something. But there was just a lot of going on that kind of didn't make sense. And to begin with, I know that this is critically acclaimed. It made a lot of money. It kind of solidified Harrison Ford as a true movie star, because before this it was just Indiana Jones or Star Wars, like his fantasy or sci-fi, and this made him like the everyman, and he got Oscar nominated for his performance. But the movie starts with a woman becoming a widow, and then less than a week later, she's already trying to fuck someone else who's a cop.
A part of me did. I feel like this movie, it's romance. It's kind of dated in that aspect, especially for what we expect now. But I mean, that relationship though, it's totally a thing of lust, and it doesn't work out
like,
for a reason. But
I dig the relationship. Like Kelly McGillis and Harrison Ford, they have good chemistry. Like that barn sequence where they're dancing, like it's really magical. Like their stares and their glances and that boob shot, really nice. But like in terms of the story, like there's just, like I said, if it was just the Amish stuff, like it was just on the farm in upstate Pennsylvania, I've been like, yeah, this is a cool movie. Like if Harrison Ford's car broke down and he was there for some reason, but when you throw in the like police thriller stuff with the crooked cops and the manhunt and that kind of stuff, which is never really fleshed out, it's like, okay, yeah, I got it. There's some guys on the force that are making drug money on the side, but it seems like an afterthought. It's just something to kind of reach a climax, and it was a good one. And it kind of reminded me of High Noon a little bit.
Way better than that, like so much. I mean, first off, let's just get this out of the way, because I said this in the opening, he kills a guy with corn. How fucking amazing is that?
That was really fucking cool.
Like, I lost my shit when that happened, and you know what, even better than that, like that Danny Glover death, like that POV shot, I just fucking lost it when I saw that. Like, if I make movies, I'm totally gonna steal that, because that was fucking awesome.
You mean the kill that Danny Glover did, or Danny Glover dying?
When Danny Glover dies, it's a POV shot. You know that he's just running straight for it, and it's just like boom. I completely lost it.
I like the way it started. I was like, oh, look, it's Danny Glover playing a bad guy. That never happens.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is early Danny Glover, too.
Well,
it's pre
Lethal Weapon was 2 years after this, so it's like right around the same period.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let me let me just get back to this. Let me tell you the first thing that did not work for me, and this is actually how I started watching the movie, is, you know, I was looking forward to it, and right away, just everything about the score screamed dated for me.
Yeah, like, that opening shot that lasts like 3 minutes of just the sunrise and then the people walking by.
And it's just like, you know, it's from Marisa Jari, who's I don't think that's how I pronounce it. Whatever, I'm messing it up. I think it's Yar or whatever. You know, it's the guy that composed. Yeah, he did Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Zhivago. Like, great composer. Even
definitely old fashioned.
Yeah, this was nominated for best original score too, but
got nominated for like 8 things. So
yeah, I mean that's the 80s though. But right away, I just wasn't feeling it, and about 5 minutes in, I just realized, you know what, I'd rather watch something much more kinetic. So I had to stop, and then I didn't watch it till the next day, and I was much more prepared for that. It is a very slow start, but it really wasn't until that bathroom scene where I was just like, oh shit, the witness is a kid. Like, that really, really got my interest more into it. And then it just keeps, you know, the fish out of water stuff, like, is absolutely hilarious. Like, just, I think...
Look, there's 2 real Amish movies. Okay, there's this and there's Kingpin. They can't be any more different. You could throw in Sex Drive in there too, because that, like, teeny stint with Seth Green that happened somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, but that's the Amish being treated as a joke.
Yeah, well, it's kind of in Kingpin too. But I know you haven't seen that, right, Fairley Brothers?
No,
I should do that for next week. That would be like an amazing follow-up for this. But I don't, like, you're right. Like, the fish out of water stuff is really good. But I don't know.
Oh man, like the
right setup away, wasn't it? Like, it works, but it feels like really off. Like, it's really rushed. Like, a lot of this movie feels rushed. The conversation he has with the captain, and then all of a sudden he's on the lam, and then when you get to the end of the movie and there is no final, oh, that sex we had was good, huh, honey? Like, he just rides off in the sunset. Like,
just to give you an idea of how I went into this, I went in knowing nothing except Harrison Ford was in it, that it was Peter Weir, and it's a movie called Witness, and I pretty much put it together from the cover that he was a cop. Like, so I knew nothing. So going in, just as things kept going, like, you know, oh, wow, this kid witnessed a murder and he's Amish. Like, how is that going to work? That's a pretty messed up situation. And then later on, it's like, oh, the guy that committed the murder, it's actually a murder on the force. Where the fuck is this going to go? And, like, it's kind of, I don't feel like this movie is cliche, just because there's always, in every scene, there's, like, little surprises in there that just kept me into it the whole time. Like,
oh yeah, it's definitely an interesting watch. I think it's really flawed. Like, I think it was nominated because it pulls on the heartstrings and it shows you something that doesn't, or like at that point probably had never been on screen just because of how not uninteresting but kind of irrelevant the Amish are, especially in our country. People kind of forget about them. There's that really like cool, interesting moment in the beginning when Lucas Haas is walking in the train station and he sees some guy who thinks he's Amish. Yeah, it's an Hasidic Jew. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool, but I didn't laugh. Like almost nothing in this movie made me laugh. Like it was very, very, very serious, except for like a joke here or there, like the haven't you ever grabbed a teat before?
There's
like, they're
so many great jokes in here. Come on, it's 4:30, time for milking. Like, I'm not surprised that that's the line that everyone quotes. Like, you look it up on YouTube. There's a clip for that, just dedicated to that scene. Yeah. Oh my God, you didn't find that
like
funny?
I said, the haven't you ever grabbed a teat before? Like that was pretty funny.
Like
but...
even within like probably my one of my favorite moments specifically, it's during the shootout in the parking structure, and like it's just.
That's my car.
I know. That's what's so great about it is that it could just be like a typical boring, I shoot you, you shoot me, we're in a parking structure, we duck, blah, blah, blah. It's intense action stuff. But that woman just stopping the elevator and going, stop, that's my car. And Harrison Ford just going, bitch, get the fuck out of the way. Like, that just made that scene so awesome. Like,
I didn't mean that it's not funny.
It's little,
I'm saying, like, I didn't laugh.
Okay, well, I don't know. You're gonna hear me geeking out over like so many scenes like this. It's like little touches and just like that make me love it so much because
I like the ice cream.
Oh God, yeah.
The tourist, that was fucking awesome.
That scene is great for so many other reasons, which I guess I can get into
but
later.
Like it does.
You know what? You bring this up. Like you bring up flaws, and none of them struck me right away, and obviously because I mean, if obviously at this point I'm just praising this movie so much, there's a lot I love about it that I want to talk about.
It doesn't. It's not like flawed. It's not a flawed movie, but in terms of story, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like if you're undercover and you're in town, why would you fight someone? Like how fucking stupid do you have to be? Like it seemed to me like they're in the writing room. Like how can we get the dirty cops to get to the barn? Harrison Ford will get in a fight.
Oh God, no, that was so great because like I mean that I love that moment because and that was an oh shit moment for me because he thinks it through like no, you can't take me to a hospital because they will check through police reports, and he's very very careful the whole time to conceal his identity. Like there's that great moment where it's like, oh, can I take a picture of you, lady? If you take a picture of me, I'm gonna rip your brassiere off and choke you to death with it. Like that was so fucking funny, and but at that moment specifically, like. I don't think he expected it to happen because I certainly did it, that there would be a police report for a fight that he was involved in. And it's not like he was arrested at all. It was just a report saying, oh, some Amish just hit a guy. And I put that together right when that car drove up. I thought that was great. Like, because in that moment, he's obviously not thinking through because, he just fucking snaps. And that moment is beautiful for so many reasons because of that line. Where it's like, no book, don't do it. It's not our way, but it's my way. Like, just, I guess.
I think the magic of this movie kind of, it didn't cast a spell on me, okay, if you will. Like, I understood the kind, like, it has a good feeling to it. Like, there's this real hometown, like, familial, nurture versus nature type thing. Like, someone from the big city who used to be a carpenter or whatever, and then dealing with these people that are about being plain and this myth of having the family. But the fact that it doesn't have a happy ending, like it didn't go the extra mile for me, and it's not
supposed to have a happy ending. That's what I love about it. I mean, let me try to make this point as best as I can, but just why that moment just resonated with me so much. That line specifically of "But it's my way." It's not because it's just a badass line. It's everything, from just that romance beforehand. You have this guy who the only thing that we know about him from the city during that scene when they're eating hot dogs is, you have Kelly McGillis saying, oh, your sister says that you don't have a family and that you should have your own kids instead of caring for hers all the time. But, the only reason that you don't is because you're more focused on doing your police work. And it's kind of a tragedy that this guy just can't settle down, and that's what he's trying to do. He's in hiding, and he's got really nothing else to do but consider having a family and just maybe getting into this relationship. He kind of treats
with
Samuel
a recently widowed woman. mind
Yeah,
you.
no, they're well. It's a relationship. They're not thinking logically. That's part of the reason why it ends up obviously not working out. But he's trying. He's acting like a father to Samuel, kind of. He even makes him that fucking that thing with the marble.
But what?
And he tries
there was
really
no-
hard to blend in. But I mean, that's the point. Is like it's such an obvious fish out of water story, and it's sad that no matter what, like how it really is a tragic romance of no matter how close you try to get to each other, it's just not going to work out. It's like the anti-Avatar in a way of, stranger comes into the village and then saves the people, but instead of becoming one of the members, no, he has to ride off and do his own thing because he does not belong whatsoever.
Well, I wouldn't say he saves the people. He saves himself.
He saves the kid. That's the only
He
reason
didn't
why he's
save
there
the
in the first
kid.
place.
They weren't there
Yeah,
for the
that's
kid.
why-
They were there for him.
Well, they say that, but the kid started the entire thing to begin
Yeah,
with. But
they didn't care about the kid though. They cared.
I-
They cared about Harrison Ford because
Nah, yeah.
he pinpointed that it was the captain. They could trust me. If he didn't connect the dots, if he thought it was just Danny Glover and he left it there, the captain probably would have turned his back on him and be like, "Oh, yep, you got him. Put him in cuffs, guy." I don't know. Hey, like I wasn't sucked into this fantasy that the movie has. Like there was a lot of moments that I really liked, even though Harrison Ford can't sing. Apparently, I liked that moment in the barn. Like that, it was
Oh,
it was
yeah, that
very
was so
special.
great.
Like very nice. Like it kind of reminded, not in terms of the tone, but like just a romantic Hallmark kind of like the vase making scene with the clay and ghosts. Like it's a special scene when you see it. Like you understand why people like not necessarily rave, but appreciate the film, or it's revered in a certain way. Like, I thought Ghost was really weird, especially I didn't know Whoopi Goldberg was in it when I saw it. And I was like, "Wow, this is a supernatural romance. That's weird."
I haven't seen Ghost.
Pretty.
I have not
interesting
seen
movie.
Ghost. Yeah, I know, but
I would check it out eventually. Like it's definitely worth watching.
I mean,
But yeah, I already mentioned that he was in this, but Lucas Haas, I had no clue that he was a child actor. I thought he was,
Yeah, no, he
I thought
was
he was just
great.
the only thing I can think of him being in is Entourage and Brick, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was just such great child acting. Like, I just love his natural curiosity for the outside world when he's there, and it's just nearly awed by like
If you
everything.
want to learn how
Yeah.
to pet my kitten's back, you put it on the ground, and then you pick it up, and then you tickle behind its ears.
I mean, it's not it's not just like him being a damn cute kid, but like also just the way that he plays that bathroom scene, like. Just when he's looking through that peephole, it's
Oh,
like,
no, my hat.
I mean, wow, it's like totally fucking with. By the way, smart fucking kid. Like when he just locks the door and then ducks under, like, good job, man. Like I was fucking I was clapping for that kid. Like that I really did get sucked into this movie, dude. But
I mean, it was a 2-hour movie. I knew it wasn't going to end with the kid dying, or begin with the kid dying. So
well, no, of course not. But I mean,
that'd be
like,
awesome if it did.
I really love this movie. Like
There's something
so much,
interesting in
dude.
this movie. Like I already mentioned, Kelly McGillis, Baron All
Mm-hmm.
kind of. I'm sure you've read or heard about her, what happened to her before she started her acting career.
No, actually.
No.
All I know is that she's in Top Gun, and that's really it.
So her and her friend were held at knife point and raped in like the late 70s, early 80s, right before she became a star. I think she was only modeling at that point. And so I'd always heard, especially after seeing Top Gun, that she always had a body double in movies because she was so like not self-conscious but scared of anyone else like basically paying to use her body, if you get my gist.
I got you.
So the fact that, well, I'm assuming that was her, unless they got like someone like her twin for that half frontal scene. I was like, wow, like, that's really interesting. And like it was even part of her work. Like after this, like she did The Accused, which is about like a barroom rape. So like it's part of her career and a couple other things. So like I don't know, like, I was kind of taken aback by that. And it was a pretty weird moment too for me. It didn't really line up with her character. It kind of worked in terms of where their not necessarily romance, but kind of relationship was going.
It was a relationship of lust. Like that's
Yeah,
it was one where they were clearly not thinking. They were just in the moment, and
that was more than a moment. He looked down and then he looked back up.
I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, it's like it's really sad. But I mean, he totally justifies it and says, "Look, if we
we made love tonight, either I would have to stay or you would have to leave.
or you'd have to go with me." And it's just, I mean,
I would have been
love-
okay with either one of those choices, but the fact that he leaves at the end
I mean, well,
without
that's-
a goodbye conversation, without like
Oh man, no, like
any kind
really,
of moment.
It's such a great moment. It doesn't need to be said. Like that's the thing is, it is so obvious. Like I mean, this is obviously a fish out of water story, but it's just so obvious that he does not belong. No matter how hard he tries, he tries to fit in. He helps raise that barn, pass off his carpenter experience, but he is just not the right guy.
Because he doesn't
like,
have a beard, okay? If he had a beard, he would have fit in.
He doesn't fit into that community because he is a guy like, I mean, it all goes back to that one moment where it's just, there's that division where they say, hey, don't fight back. It's not our way, but it's my way. He is that guy that will, he's not just going to take shit because he doesn't believe in hurting people. He will stand up for what's right.
No part of this movie really, I mean,
and that's
the characterization in this movie didn't make me believe that was him. Like, I know it's him because it's Harrison Ford and he's a cop and his sister's telling you this thing, but not anything really of his own accord, like his own actions. Like I didn't get that
you
from
see
him.
it in his actions. You see it just based on what he does. He is not like he is that honest cop. He will not fucking just take it sitting down and go like, oh, so you want to do your drug deal on the side and make money? That's okay. I mean, there's that moment where he says, hey, what happened, over the phone to this captain, what happened? You couldn't stay straight or some along those lines. Like he's trying his best to be an honest cop, which is really difficult to do. And it's like the sister said, he does it because he doesn't believe anybody else can. It really, it's a very two-dimensional way of putting it, but I think that's all that you need. It's this two-dimensional character trying to become three-dimensional in a way, but he can't, which is fucking tragic. That's part of why he can't really say anything in the end. But that ending, I thought it was absolutely touching, where he's just looking out at the water with Lucas Haas, and there really isn't anything that can be said just because it's not possible. And I mean, that is the best thing for them, is that he leaves. And I absolutely love that final shot where he's driving away and then Daniel just walks up to the barn. But Daniel then just is walking up to the barn as Harrison Ford's driving away, tips his hat. And that is the perfect guy for Kelly McGillis. Like, as if they didn't even hammer it in enough at the beginning. He was the guy that showed up at the train station, was like, hey, be safe out there. As he's leaving, he's like riding like Mr. Perfect Hollywood on his little rail, and they're waving out the window. I mean, I love that. I felt like he could have been set up to be an asshole, but no, it's just he is a nice guy who seems to care. You don't see enough, but you get the sense at the end of like, yeah, you know what, this is probably the right guy that she's going to end up with.
Maybe it's because of Hollywood, especially the mid-'80s, but as soon as I saw him, the first impression I got was German guy with blonde hair, he's probably a villain. Like that maybe that's just Die Hard speaking, but I saw that, I was like, he's the bad guy. Like, part of me was like, maybe he killed her husband.
I mean, I think that's just a lot of what I love about this, is like it feels like it is a straight Hollywood movie from Peter Weir, specifically, who we haven't really talked much about yet. How much of his stuff have you seen?
Dead Poets and The Truman Show.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen Dead Poets, but yeah, no, Gallipoli was great. Picnic at Hanging Rock is a classic. Master and Commander is incredibly underrated. Like, the guy has a great body of work, but his style is never really been like straight up Hollywood, and yet this feels very much like a Hollywood film, except it goes against the norm, both in plot and just like in ways that it tries to surprise its audience, which I've already said, like, it's just those little like details of how they change up scenes that I like, and I think he really brought a lot of great stuff here just to this simple fish out of water story. I mean, it really just goes against just the standard type of way that you expect this film to go. I mean, like I said, it's kind of very, not too closely, but in a way it's like the anti-Avatar, because it doesn't end with him being accepted by the village and joining the family and having a happy ending. He has to go off back into his own world. It's very much him being the anti-hero. And I fucking love that. I feel like it is a very honest ending, that not everything is going to end up perfect. I mean, it's still a happy ending because everything ends up okay in the end, but it's just not going to be the way that you think it would be ideally.
I don't know. I read that there was a 10-page dialogue scene between Rachel and Book. So I don't know why that doesn't exist. Maybe there's a director's cut out there.
I'm glad that there isn't one. I mean, because it really is just a relationship of lust. They don't find that much common ground. It's just
what the fuck are they gonna talk about?
Yeah, it's just exactly. It's just he's looking after them.
That was like the first music she'd ever heard in her life. That wasn't sung by actual people in front of her. Mm-hmm. So of course she was entranced and wanted to fuck him. Like,
yeah,
it's a powerful song.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think it's
like
it just
that scene used it almost as well as the opening montage of Hitch, almost as well.
I mean, I think that is a great thing, though, to end a movie that way, because it is just, it's kind of a reminder, like, people are very influenced by movies, and especially when it comes to relationships, and when they see a happy ending, they're like, oh, I want one like that. But that is a good reminder of, like, hey, just because you look at each other for a few seconds and you think you might want to fuck each other for a little bit, that doesn't mean that you want to spend the rest of your lives with them. And I very much appreciate that message. Like, I'm not saying like that's the movie's goal, but that is a good thing to get out of the ending.
Sure. Doesn't have to be a happy ending, but it can be. Gotcha. Catch my drift.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've run the gamut here. Like I said, I'm picking the flaws only because you said that you loved it. I had to be the voice of reason, if you will. I'm not fully getting it. Like, you're just enamored by it. I didn't dislike it.
As far as like, I'm not saying you did. I'm not really fully understanding what your problem is with it.
There's no problem with it. I just thought it had some flaws, not major ones. Like I said, I
know
I really liked the Amish stuff,
yeah.
but it didn't float my boat. Like it wasn't a disappointment. It wasn't a waste of almost 2 hours. Like probably the worst thing about this movie was my buffering on Netflix. It like kept pausing every. After I got halfway through, it started pausing like every 15 minutes, and it kind of took me out of the moment or the moments. But it was serviceable. It was fun. I actually really liked the sound mix, and I thought the editing was kind of interesting.
I by the way, just speaking of which, this movie was it was shot by John Seal. I mean, just there's some beautiful countryside shots here, and he's also the guy that shot Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess Australian directors keep the same cinematographers, though.
Oh, yeah, no, he shot stuff with Peter Weir before. I mean, the dude's pushing 70 as well, so he's got just as much energy as George Miller.
I like I said, I didn't dislike it. I wouldn't buy it for $1. Probably might not watch it again, but it was fun to see where Harrison Ford, like, not necessarily got his break, but crossed over to the Hollywood movie. Like, not the pulp hero, not the cocky guy with the one-liners, even though he does have one-liners here and he is cocky. But that's I guess that's just how they write him.
Going into this, like, before I watched it, Witness was always that movie that when people talk about it, writers, directors, just film critics, fans in general, they always have great things to say about it. They're always very enthusiastic about it, yet it's not one of those movies that you see on all-time great films lists. And it's also, a movie that got nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards. It got nominated for Best Picture, for Best Actor. It won, Best Score. I think it won for Best Original Screenplay, too.
In 1985, I think of Back to the Future, which is also a fish out of water tale.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, this movie is so great, and yet not enough people talk about it. And it's when I did look up reviews on Letterboxd later, it seems like it's still working for a lot of other people. I think the only thing that just dates it horribly is the score, which, in places it's really effective. But I mean, when you get to that opening, especially, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And that's my only beef with the movie. Is just I thought the score from the
I don't think there's any major problems with it. Like, I thought it was very serviceable.
I'm not saying that.
Nice. Like,
You've said
charming.
That. No, you said that many times. I'm not attacking you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that was my beef here with that. But I absolutely love this movie. Like, excluding Kingdom of Heaven because I've seen it before. Like, this is my favorite movie that we've done so far on this series.
And so far, yeah, I definitely got to do Kingpin next week then. I'm telling you,
really
you get a whole new angle on the Amish.
Oh God, you're gonna ruin Witness for me too now.
A little bit, yeah. Well, thanks for listening, guys. I hope it's been a pleasure. If you enjoyed it, you can find updates and when episodes go live on Facebook and Twitter at Dollar Reviews. You You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate the films I watch on an almost daily basis, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at letterboxd.com. My username is also S_MTX. There I log everything I watch and sometimes write brief reviews.
If you'd like to contribute some talking points, maybe send us a film or two that you'd like for us to review, or just some feedback of any sort, you can do so by sending us an email to dollar.review@gmail.com.
And if you want to hear more of us, you can find our entire archive at dollarreviewspodcast.wordpress.com. We're also on iTunes, where you can download episodes and listen to us anywhere, and you can also hear us on SoundCloud and TuneIn Radio just by searching Dollar Reviews.
Until next time, keep the change.